listeners! Welcome to our channel, Learn English with Podcast. Welcome to today's episode, where we're diving into one of the biggest challenges many of us face, public speaking in English. Whether it's giving a presentation, speaking up in a meeting, or addressing a crowd, the fear of speaking in front of others can be overwhelming. But don't worry, we're here to change that. In this episode, we'll share practical tips, powerful strategies, and real-life stories to help you overcome that fear and build confidence. If the thought of speaking in front of an audience makes your heart race, stay tuned. We're about to turn that fear into your secret weapon. Let's get started. But before we dive into today's topic, let's quickly introduce today's guests, Alan and Alice. They are here to help us master to say no. Let's get started.
Alice, let me take you back to one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. Picture this. I'm standing on stage, a room full of people staring at me, and my mind goes completely blank.
Oh no. Was it your first public speaking attempt?
Yes, it was a college presentation. I had rehearsed 100 times, but as soon as I started, I could feel my hands shaking, my heart racing, and my throat going dry. I forgot everything.
I can imagine the panic. What did you do?
I froze for a full minute. The silence felt like an eternity. People were whispering and I thought, that's it? Everyone thinks I'm a joke.
Wow, that must have been terrifying. Did you manage to recover?
Barely. I mumbled a few lines, rushed through my slides, and bolted off the stage. The worst part? I kept replaying it in my head for weeks, thinking I was terrible at public speaking.
That sounds tough, but Alan, you're not alone. Freezing on stage is something so many people experience, especially when they're speaking in a second language like English.
Exactly. Back then, I thought I was the only one. But later, I realized fear of public speaking is common, and it can be overcome.
Absolutely. That's why we're here today, to help our listeners understand this fear, and more importantly, learn how to conquer it.
Yes, because if I can bounce back from that moment, anyone can. Let's dive in and figure this out together.
Let's do it. Public speaking doesn't have to be scary, especially in English. Stay with us. So, Alan, let's talk about why public speaking in English feels so scary. Why do you think people fear it so much?
Honestly, it's the fear of being judged. When English isn't your first language, you constantly worry, what if I make a mistake? What if they laugh at me?
Exactly. That fear of making mistakes is a huge one. You feel like every mispronounced word or grammar slip will make people think less of you.
And then there's the whole perfect English myth. People think they need to speak flawlessly, like a native speaker. The pressure is insane.
Yes, but the truth is even native speakers make mistakes. Nobody's expecting perfection, yet we put that pressure on ourselves.
Right, I've noticed another reason too, lack of practice. If you don't use English often, the idea of standing in front of an audience can feel overwhelming.
Absolutely. Speaking English in front of friends or in casual settings is one thing, but when it's a formal situation like a presentation, the stakes feel much higher.
And let's not forget the physical symptoms. Stage fright hits hard, sweaty palms, shaky voice, a racing heart. It's like your body is working against you.
Oh, totally. Your brain goes into fight or flight mode. It's telling you run away. This is dangerous.
And when English isn't your first language, that fear gets magnified. You're not just thinking about what to say, you're translating, checking grammar, and trying to sound confident all at the same time.
So true. It's like juggling 5 balls while walking on a tightrope. No wonder it feels so stressful.
Let's break it down for our listeners. Here are the main reasons why we fear public speaking in English. 1. Fear of making mistakes. 2. Pressure to speak perfectly. 3. Lack of practice or exposure. 4. Stage fright and physical anxiety. 5. Overthinking grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation.
That's a great list. But Alan, don't you think fear also comes from bad past experiences? Like your story about freezing on stage?
Oh, definitely. If you've had a tough moment, like forgetting your lines or getting laughed at, it sticks with you. You start believing this will happen every time.
And then there's comparison. You see someone speaking fluently and think, I'll never be as good as them.
Yes, but here's the thing. Everyone has their own journey. Even the most confident speakers started somewhere.
That's a powerful reminder. And listeners, if you're feeling this fear, know that it's completely normal. You're not alone.
Exactly, the key is to understand where the fear is coming from. Once you know that, you can start working on it.
So let's take a moment to ask ourselves, what's really holding us back? Is it the fear of judgment? Is it past experiences? Or is it simply a lack of practice?
And remember, fear isn't the enemy. It's just a signal that you care about doing well.
That's such a great perspective. And the good news is, fear can be managed. In the next part, we'll talk about the psychology behind stage fright and how to take the first steps toward overcoming it.
Stay with us because we're just getting started.
Alan, let's get into the science of this. Why does stage fright feel so terrifying? What's happening in our brains when we're standing in front of an audience?
Oh, it's fascinating, Alice. When you're about to speak, especially in English, your brain reacts as if you're facing a life-threatening situation. It's like, oh no, you're under attack.
Exactly. Your brain kicks into fight or flight mode, releasing adrenaline. Suddenly, your heart's pounding, your palms are sweaty, and you're struggling to think clearly.
And that's the worst part. Your brain shuts down the creative, logical part and goes, forget about what you practiced. Just survive.
That explains why people forget their lines or freeze. It's not because they didn't prepare. It's their brain being overwhelmed by fear.
Right? And the fear feels even bigger when you're speaking in English because you're juggling so much vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation. It's like your brain's working overtime.
Totally. I always say it's like a computer with too many tabs open. It slows down and crashes.
Perfect analogy, but here's the thing. Our brain isn't trying to sabotage us. It's just doing its job, protecting us. Public speaking feels like a threat because we're hardwired to fear judgment and rejection.
That makes sense. In the past, being rejected by a group could literally mean danger, right? So, it's an ancient survival instinct kicking in.
Exactly, but here's the good news. We're not in the wild anymore, and public speaking isn't life or death. Once we understand this, we can start calming our minds.
So true. Let's talk about practical ways to manage this fear. For me, deep breathing has always been a lifesaver. It helps slow down the heart rate and clear your mind.
That's a great tip. I've also found that reframing the situation helps. Instead of thinking, everyone's judging me, I tell myself, this is my chance to share something valuable.
Love that. I also think it helps to focus on the message, not the audience. When you shift the spotlight off yourself, the pressure eases.
Absolutely, and here's another thing. Practice can actually rewire your brain. The more you expose yourself to public speaking, the less your brain sees it as a threat.
Yes. Start small, maybe speak in front of a mirror, then a few friends, and slowly build up to larger audiences.
And remember, the fear won't disappear overnight, but it gets smaller every time you face it.
Exactly. Fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control you. In the next part, we'll share step-by-step strategies to help you build confidence and speak like a pro.
Stick with us, because conquering stage fright is easier than you think.
All right, Alan, let's cut to the chase. How can someone go from trembling at the mic to speaking with confidence in English?
Step 1. Prepare like your life depends on it. Confidence starts with knowing your material. If you're clear on what you're going to say, half the battle is already won.
Totally agree. And preparation isn't just about memorizing. It's about understanding your topic so well that you can explain it in your own words. That makes a huge difference.
Exactly. Step 2. Practice, practice, practice. Start small. Speak in front of a mirror, record yourself, or practice with a friend who speaks English.
Oh, I love that. And recording yourself is brilliant. You can listen back, catch mistakes, and improve. Plus, you get used to hearing your own voice, which is often a fear for many.
Spot on. Step 3. Focus on your audience, not yourself. Most people are rooting for you to do well. They're not counting your mistakes. They're listening to your message.
Exactly. Imagine you're having a one-on-one conversation instead of addressing a big crowd. It makes things so much easier.
Now, step 4. Start small. If speaking to a large group feels overwhelming, begin with a small audience. Maybe try a toast at a family dinner or share an idea in a meeting.
That's such great advice. Small wins build big confidence. And don't forget to celebrate those wins, no matter how small they seem.
Absolutely. Step 5. Visualize success. Picture yourself on stage, speaking confidently, and the audience applauding. Visualization is a powerful tool for overcoming fear.
Love that. Your brain believes what you tell it. If you imagine success, it becomes more achievable.
Here's a practical one. Step 6. Have a cheat sheet. Jot down key points or phrases you might forget. It's not cheating, it's smart preparation.
Yes, and knowing it's there can reduce so much anxiety, even if you don't end up using it.
Finally, step 7. Embrace mistakes. Nobody speaks perfectly, not even the pros. If you stumble, laugh it off and keep going.
That's so important. Mistakes are part of learning, and honestly, they make you more relatable to your audience.
Exactly, and one bonus tip: practice English daily, even outside public speaking. The more comfortable you are with the language, the more confident you'll feel on stage.
That's a game changer. And listeners, don't overwhelm yourself. Take it one step at a time. Each step brings you closer to becoming a confident English speaker.
Well said, Alice. In the next part, we'll dive into tips to stay calm on stage when those nerves try to take over.
Stay tuned, because we're just getting started on building your public speaking superpower.
So, Alice, we've prepped our speeches, practiced in front of mirrors, but when you're on stage, the nerves can still hit. How do you stay calm?
First thing I do, deep breathing. Sounds basic, but it works. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4, exhale for 4. It calms the heart and clears the mind.
Breathing is a game changer. I also focus on my posture. Standing tall, shoulders back. Feeling physically confident can trick your mind into feeling confident.
Yes, and don't forget eye contact. Looking at friendly faces in the crowd makes you feel like you're having a conversation rather than giving a speech.
Totally, but if you're nervous about that, try looking at people's foreheads or just above their heads. It still feels like you're engaging without the intensity of direct eye contact.
That's a solid tip. Another one I use, slow down. Nerves make you talk fast, but speaking too quickly can make you sound unsure. Slow your pace and you'll feel more in control.
Great advice. I also remind myself that no one is perfect. If I make a mistake, I'll just correct myself and keep moving. The audience doesn't care as much as we think.
So true. I like to pause after a key point, take a breath and let the words sink in. It's a natural rhythm and it gives your audience time to catch up with you.
Pause to think and it buys you some time. Another tip: get comfortable with silence. A quiet moment isn't a mistake. It's a chance to gather your thoughts.
Silence is powerful. It adds weight to what you say next. But one thing I always do, remember your purpose. You're on stage to share something valuable, not to impress. Focus on the message, not the performance.
Absolutely. And remember, it's okay to feel nervous. The goal isn't to eliminate fear but to manage it.
Right. Keep your cool, stay focused, and trust yourself. In the end, the audience is there to hear what you have to say, not judge every word you speak.
Perfectly said. In our final section, we'll recap all these tips and show you how to keep building your public speaking confidence.
So don't go anywhere. Your journey to calm and confident speaking is just getting started.
Alright, Alice, we've covered nerves, prep, and staying calm. But let's talk about making public speaking fun. How do you add that spark to your speech?
First off, be yourself. Don't try to sound like a robot reciting facts. Inject some personality. If you're excited about the topic, your audience will be too.
So true. I've found that humor is a game changer. A well-timed joke or funny story breaks the ice and makes the audience feel at ease.
Exactly. And don't worry if your joke doesn't land. Just laugh it off. You're human, not a stand-up comedian. Plus, humor shows confidence.
Another great one: use visuals. Slides, images, or even props can add an interactive element to your speech. It makes your message stick and engages your audience.
Oh, I love visuals. I've used props like a quirky hat to illustrate a point, and it totally lightened the mood. People remember that more than any boring PowerPoint slide.
Right, and here's another tip: storytelling. Stories are naturally engaging. We connect with them emotionally, and they make your message relatable.
Yep, start with a story, something personal or funny, and then tie it back to your main point. It makes your speech feel more like a conversation.
Definitely, and remember, engage with the audience. Ask questions, get them to nod, or even have a quick vote on something. Interaction keeps the energy up.
Absolutely. And don't forget to vary your tone. A flat voice will lose the audience. but changing your pitch and pace keeps things exciting.
And use the space. Move around the stage. A little action gets rid of that nervous energy and makes you feel more confident.
Plus, it keeps your audience visually engaged. It's like you're performing, not just talking at them.
The most important thing? Have fun with it. If you enjoy what you're doing, your audience will too. Public speaking doesn't have to be a chore. It can be a blast.
You're right. So go out there. Share your energy, make some jokes, tell stories, and just enjoy the moment.
And remember, you're not just speaking in English, you're having fun with it. In the next section, we'll wrap everything up with key takeaways and next steps for you to become a confident speaker.
So stick around. We've got the final steps to turn you into a public speaking pro.
So, Alice, we've covered a lot today. How to overcome fear, build confidence, stay calm, and even make public speaking fun.
Yep, we've got the full toolkit now. But the key takeaway: public speaking is a skill, not a talent. Anyone can get better with practice.
Exactly, and don't expect perfection. It's about progress, not being flawless. Even the best speakers have their off days.
For sure. The trick is to embrace mistakes, keep learning, and most importantly, enjoy the journey. The more you speak, the easier it becomes.
And remember, you're not alone. Everyone gets nervous, even in English. But with the strategies we shared today, you're already on the path to conquering your fear.
So go ahead, take that first step, speak up, and watch your confidence grow. Public speaking in English? Totally within your reach.
Absolutely. Now get out there, speak with confidence, and make your message heard.
That's it for today, folks. Keep practicing, stay calm, and most importantly, have fun. See you next time.
Until then, happy speaking.
Thank you for watching. Your journey to better English and unstoppable confidence starts here. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep growing together. See you in the next video, champion.